This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show. Because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Oh, they look nice.
Thank you, honey.
Yo!
You guys gather, it's going down. Gather! Gather!
Yo!
I tell you what. Yo!
Airtel is giving you bigger data bundles for the same price. Dial star 175 hash to choose from our range of bigger Chillax bundles that don't expire. Bigger monthly bundles, all for the same price. And stay connected longer to loved ones. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it is the 20th of September 2022. Good morning, Uganda. Thank you for joining us. If you have just, joined us, but if you have been with us all the way, well, I can say you're doing quite well because we are making sure that that is achievable. My name is Philomena Mastiko and I am with Felix Nkunda and Robert here. And he was telling us actually, you know how we have been hearing all this conversation about General Salim Saleh not doing well, and others have really taken it to the extreme about him having passed on, which is quite very, very sad every other time. I mean, when we hear stories like that. And yesterday I was having a conversation about with somebody about this function, and they were telling me, but where do people come up with these conversations, these rumors? Like, how do they even, get into the ears of very many Ugandans? But at least one thing I know here is that the man is alive. He's doing quite well, and I mean, he was taking part of this function, yeah.
but you see, Philo, for me, I keep on wondering, why should that be a concern of whoever is interested in the General's life? I think that's a concern of his family by far and the people who are friends to him. If you're not his friend, does it matter to you? Now you look at someone who's interesting themselves in the lives of people who don't even care about you. And I think this is the purpose as to why we had the law, why the Muhammad Nsereko was proposing this particular misuse content bill in relation to internet and this kind of content. Like people, you know, when you live in a society where you think you can say anything and get away with it.
Yes.
Man, we can't live like that. you just can't come out one day and say this one is this. Like you can't sit at the beacon of absence of sense and then you think you're going to preside over people's lives.
But I also feel like maybe people do this to just remain relevant, honestly.
No, but that's being actually irrelevant.
Yes.
Because, and honestly and truly, there's this whole saying we used to have when we were children that, actually not even children, in Uganda we have a saying that the people who should the people who should speak about these things never say anything. But anyway, nevertheless, the beauty of the same is that at least as a matter of fact, the General Salim Saleh is alive and kicking. At least I've been able to interact with a couple of people.
Oh, yes.
Even this particular week, a team went to see him. I think they were in Kapeka, someone like that.
Yes.
They met him and we had, not myself, but at least they were able to tell us that he's in good condition. He's alive and kicking. Ongoing with Operation Wealth Creation, absolutely, for those who are interested and benefiting from the same. But I know we pray for him to have good life.
Yes, and I hope that with all these conversations coming up on the rumors, the man is going to really, you know, actually stay healthy for a while. But anyway, getting back to our issue today of discussion, we're talking about the sugar prices. I am pretty sure you've had complaints coming in from all corners, especially for the people who consume sugar on a daily. I don't know whether Felix has had, because the last time I checked, he omitted sugar out of his diet, but at least I'm pretty sure he knows what's happening around sugar prices. Right now, we know that the prices of sugar per kilogram right now, by retail price, you would have to, you know,
probably
walk away with 5,000, yes, 5,500. Now, this is not making very many people happy, I must say. And right, and if you're the business kind of person, probably for you to buy a sack of sugar, this was previously going for about 100, I think, and 70.
It was going for 140.
Yes, 140,000. Right now, you will have to part with 240,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, the increase is really very big. You cannot fail to recognize it. Now, this is not making very many people, and at all levels, you know, the business people, the sugarcane growers as well, they may be happy about some other things, but they're also not happy about other things. The processors, everybody, in one way or another, this is quite beating them. And maybe I just really want to hear from you, Robert, first. Why are we seeing these increments? You know, before we get into, you know, that depths of, you know, what that actually means. Why are we seeing these increments in the sugar prices? Because if I may take you back, in 2011, that's when Uganda faced its first sugar scarcity, because the demand was actually very high, and a kilogram did go for about 10,000 Uganda shillings back in 2011. But right now, as we are seeing, the demand is growing because the price is growing higher. Why is this happening, in your opinion?
Well, first, the sugar problem, researchers, experts warned that we shall get here. And I remember about a year ago, there was a research carried out by our Economic Policy Research Center, and this was looking at the full application of the laws of demand and supply on the sugarcane price as a challenge. This is why when sometimes we talk about scientists, we talk about researchers, I think when they come up with some of these reports, we shouldn't just put them down and say a report has been done, but we should follow up. It was very clear that the raw material for sugar happens to be the cane, which is grown in Uganda, to be more particular in the districts of, that is in the, you talk about Buyende, Ruka, Mayuge, in the region of Jinja around there. So what happened is they warned and said, look, these sugar factories, in this region there are about 15 sugar factories, and they are getting cane from about 30,000 sugarcane growers.
Yes.
But the researchers came and warned that unless government comes up with a clear policy on how these growers are paid and benefit from what they are doing, we are going to face a situation where these milling machines cannot work to their full capacity.
Yes.
And this will mean that we won't have enough sugar. Actually, the research was very clear that in 2022, we will not have enough sugar. I applaud Ugandans to go and read that research. These are the reasons they brought forward. They said, when, you remember first the sugar bill 2016 was brought to Parliament, passed, and the President declined to sign to it. Though later he did, because he was saying they must include issues like zoning. Now, this is what was happening. That it is the maize miller owners of these factories that were determining the price, because they had found a way of ring fencing. They had found a way of ring fencing that within a radius of 25 kilometers, there should be one sugar mill. And all outgrowers or anyone who is growing cane within that radius must supply only to that sugar mill. Now, what did this mean, Philo and Felix and our viewers? It meant monopolizing, because you're all selling to one person. This one person will definitely determine the price at which is buying this sugar cane. One would say this was good for keeping the investors in the business. But remember, it was affecting the sugar cane buyers. Imagine 1 ton of cane, 1 ton of sugar cane was going at 120,000. 120,000, and you know, you're almost taking like a full lorry, and you're giving this person 120,000. So what happened? The research now shows that over 30% of the farmers moved out of business, and they have gradually been moving out of sugarcane, going into alternative other areas through which they can be able to make better money. It seems to be something that is bringing money. And there was now a saying that I don't want to mention the people there. So they began giving out their land to do other things, because they could no longer, much as 80% of the land in this area was in sugarcane. Today it is not what it is. So when these farmers began pulling out of business, it is now that the millers, the people that own these millers, found it important that we need to have the farmers back. And I want to tell you, it is just recent that now the price of a ton has stepped to 170,000. But remember, you're stepping to 170,000 where the people give you your materials. Men have said, they have gotten out of that.
Yes.
And His Excellency also advised them that if you have land less than 6 acres, please do not go into sugarcane production. Why? Because even the little monies they were getting, they still had to buy food. And to make matters worse, they had called out and cried out loud, saying, when I supply my cane today, government should come in and force these sugar millers to have a specific period when they are supposed to pay me. A person would supply sugar cane today, then wait either for 3 months or 6 months. So it no longer became a business for the people in this particular area to invest in sugar cane. Now, business works like this. There's what we call profit. Profit is what you get after you count the cost of production.
Yes.
And it was automatic that these people aren't going to sell sugar to you at a loss. Well, if they are buying sugar that they were buying a ton at 120,000, now they are paying at 170,000. This price must shift to the final consumer. That is why today you see that some people within the sugar supply chain are telling you we are moving out. If a person was buying a sack of 50 kilos at 114,000, and now you're telling at 140,000, now you're telling them to buy at 240,000, many may not buy, so resort to others. At the supermarket, you're the final consumer. So these created problems, and where over time concerned parties were paying a deaf ear to cherish investors. You tell someone within a radius of 25 kilometers, no other person should construct a mill there. This monopoly is what has led us to here. Yet scientists and researchers were clearly saying, look, we are going to hit a dead end. Look, these factories are now not able to crush cane to the capacity they are supposed to crush, and this is where we are.
Okay. Now, looking at also this industry mainly, and maybe just to hear from you, Felix, it is estimated that about 29,000 households are engaged in sugarcane planting, and also the number of laborers that are used by these households stands at about 640,000. And again, there was an increase between 2012 to 2021 in the number of laborers. But also, because of all these inconsistencies that have been happening over time when it comes to sugar, right from the miller, right from the growers to the final consumer, there is a belief that maybe this sugar industry, this sugar cane growing and everything that comes with it, is actually throwing very many people into poverty. Okay, when it comes, prosperity is not something they will look at when it comes to this, because we have seen a number of millers stuck with a lot of cane because, you know, the prices are a bit too low, and those who have actually managed to sell it to all these industries we have, we are seeing that it is quite at a lower price. Recently they did increase their prices, but even then I don't think that's enough.
Wait for 2 years.
Yeah, you cannot wait for 2 years, because we have a number of people or farmers who had already jumped out of this because it was not making money for them. So can we say that you know, prosperity is not something that we can look at when it comes to sugar cane growing here in Uganda? Maybe people need to start looking for plan Bs, alternatives. What do you think?
Well, looking for plan Bs, you know, just to be clear, sugar has never been cheap.
Yes.
In Uganda. And I think even very much more elsewhere in the world. By the way, even when you go to countries like all the countries in Europe, you'll be surprised some of the commodities that have consistently had fairly, because when you go to Britain, you'll buy probably a kilo of sugar at about probably maybe £1 and something, which is about still 5,000 or something. So sugar has never been free. The only difference is that it's a commodity that people have made seemingly become a must. And that's why we're having this conversation. Now, Robert did talk about a statistical approach to this problem that does throw the cast of the challenge or the problem back to either the producers, the workers, the outgrowers, but later on also he brought into play the challenge of the law. Now, the truth of the matter, there are industries, if you want to, and we can take a study and we see the consistency and how some of them have been maintained. In this country, I want us to look at things like real estate, the industrial world that is by far dominated by foreigners, by the way, and I think it's the same case for sugar. Because when you look at the biggest producers in Uganda, we have
Kenyena,
the Metas, who are definitely, probably, anyway, some of them are Ugandans, but it's not a Ugandan. We have, is it Skoll? Skoll, I think Skoll is the Meta.
So, yes.
Ruben should be in place to tell us more about this, because he's from the area code of
Buyukwe, yes,
where we see.
And
yeah, we have, I think, also Lugazi, like the big boys, if I may call them, in this, are majorly not Ugandans. Now, one of the biggest problem, Robert, and contributing or relating to the challenges you said, is the level of profit expatriation. How much is put back in promoting local growth of that industry? That's why you have the outgrowers who are selling a ton of sugar cane at less than even 200,000. But between you and me, a ton of sugar cane